A huge shout out to the overthinkers.
An overthinker. He watches the show.
To the overthinkers, shout out my Vert too.
All about Vert, this is Parker, yeah? Thank you, overthinkers.
Keep inspiring the next generation.
Shout out to the overthinkers. Tando Pela. Much love.
To my overthinkers, mamela ubuchopho ngeke buphume buyakhula nizinja nikhokho yazini as overthink siya overachieve.
I'm stealing that. I've stolen that one. I've stolen it.
Are coach Shorty, are siya as overthinking, siya overachiever. Welcome everybody to the Overthinking Football Show. My name is Jordaan Milford. I am your host, and this show is the place where we speak all things South African football. We speak some things African football, and every now and then we speak about Europe. But for the most part, we are here for the South African game, for the game that we love. And this is where we get to meet and speak about all of the things that are facing us here now. For Mondays to Thursdays, 7 p.m., that is when the show is on. And then if Chiefs, Pirates, Sundowns, Bafana, Bafana are playing, we're going to be watching those games live, as we did last night with mamelodi Sundowns versus Stellenbosch, which will be the start of today. Today we're going to speak about what happened between Stellenbosch and mamelodi Sundowns last night, with Sundowns beating Stellenbosch 1-0. And then we're going to transition to the members show. And the members show, you're going to hear audio from a WhatsApp call with the members. They've picked the topic. The topic is about Orlando Pirates and why are they resting so much right now? Why they're allowed to rest? Is resting them good? Is all of those questions will be answered when we get into the members portion of the show. Now, please guys, support the content. I drop every day. Support the content, watch the reviews, watch the analysis, watch the videos that I put out every day, watch the podcast that I put out so that you can support Overthinking Football and let us grow as much as possible. Okay, so we're going to get into the Stellenbosch mamelodi Sundowns game. Remember, very interactive show. It's a show where you can jump in and you can talk to me via the panels. If you want to be part of the panels, if you want to jump in and add your voice to the show live, then there's a button at the bottom of the screen that says multi-guest. Click on that button. I let you in. We have a conversation about whatever it is that we are speaking about. Remember that you have to be following me in order to do that. Then we're going to speak today about Stellenbosch versus mamelodi Sundowns, a game that ended 1-0 in mamelodi Sundowns' favor. Second game, second win for Miguel Cardoso, the new mamelodi Sundowns coach. The game, funny enough, ended very interestingly. So when you look at the stats, mamelodi Sundowns had 12 shots, 4 on target, 58% of the possession, and they completed 552 passes, whereas Stellenbosch FC had 14 shots, 4 on target, 42% of the possession with 374 completed passes. Coming into this game, this is how the two teams were going to line up. You had Onyango Mudiba, Obas Diruk, Lunga Khoza, Allende Ribeiro, Kodisang Morena Reyners. On the mamelodi Sundowns side, on Stellenbosch side, you have Stevens, Muloisane, Mkaba, Pasadine, Enyinaya, and Dooley, Palace, Adams, Mdagati, Yog, and Titus. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this game from my point of view. When Coach Mangoba came out and said that he wanted to play a pacey, fast game. He wanted box entries. He wanted excitement. He wanted chances. He wanted everybody to be creating as high as possible. That is the best description of what mamelodi Sundowns' first half looked like. Sundowns in the first half looked like they were playing a training game. Every time they got forward, they were getting their chances. Reyners missed a couple of guilty chances before putting away his one chance. Ribeiro got an open goal at some point and couldn't put it away. Now, this mamelodi Sundowns team was really exciting in that first half. Stellenbosch playing a high line, not having a sort of communication with that midfield, between the midfield and the defense. And you could actually see that they were missing a little bit of maybe Toure's leadership in that team. And that high line meant that mamelodi Sundowns kept on punishing Stellenbosch in the first half. Second half was a completely different affair, with Stellenbosch finally going back to the football that they know, the football that they've been playing this season, where they pressure teams up front, play very hard and fast football with a lot of people pressing, and they got a whole bunch of chances and put mamelodi Sundowns under pressure. Sundowns, of course, made some changes of their own, but they didn't have the same fluidity as what they did in that first half. So that is how this game panned out. Another win for Mamelodi Sundowns to cement their place at the top. Orlando Pirates, of course, being off. We're going to speak about that in the second hour on the members show, where they will touch on Pirates and it's resting. But for now, guys, we're going to speak Mamelodi Sundowns. Please feel free to request and jump in. I'll let you in and we can have a conversation about this Mamelodi Sundowns team game and what was happening. Okay, let me just check. Okay, let me see. Samgelo, are you with me? Can you hear me?
What about OT?
How are you, Maji? Keep on, Prime.
Right, well,
Mangimnandi. Samgelo, Nai Mamelodi Sundowns. I can hear you perfectly. Nai Sundowns, idlale ne Stellenbosch 1-0 win to Mamelodi Sundowns. How do you feel about this game? Oh, Samgelo.
What Miguel Pirates up top good. What Miguel cut yo. Can you hear me? Can I
Oh, hey, banna. Okay, let's keep it here. Let's keep it here. Yeah, let's see if Samgelo can come back. Oh, Masandawa, nalibatu. What's happening today? Samgelo.
Yeah, but yeah,
Go straight in. What are you saying? How do you see the game?
now I feel like what I can say Miguel Cardoso is cooking. Yeah, but I'm not sure maybe majority can say I'm lying, but what I can see, I'm seeing the identity what he's trying to cook. He's trying to build on the system era rulani. What he's trying to do, not era mangoba mnciti. Understand? Because that's the thing that's happening. And the footy, I could say still now, which as in I'm a player Angelo and the footy. Yeah. Miguel Cardoso, that's the name.
Samgelo's
To
cutting.
watch out, like,
Hey, Samgelo's cutting. Let me just ask there in the comments, can you guys hear me?
So
Can you guys hear me there in the comments? Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Look. Here's what was so interesting about the game that Mamelodi Sundowns played versus Stellenbosch. For me, I think what I enjoy most about Mamelodi Sundowns is the way that they tweak games, the way that they tweak, the way that they play, the way that they bring in other players and really work on the mistakes that they made. In the first game, we saw a very Rulani type game. We saw a possession-based game. We saw them playing to hold the ball a lot. We didn't see too much of the attack. Reyners was pretty much hidden for some of that game versus Iraja. And this game, I'm going to use Reyners to start off with. Reyners was playing as a central striker, but what they did was they saw Stellenbosch was playing a high line. So they kept playing a ball in behind. And what's interesting about that front three that they had was that in the game versus Raja, Mayema came in, and Mayema was playing as sort of a forward. They had a forward three, Reyners, Ribeiro, and Mayema. But then what they did in this game was that they put in Ukori-san, but they allowed him to be a sort of a 10-ish 8, to come back and essentially playing with a front two. So those two players that were in front, Ribeiro and Reyners, kept on getting those opportunities to get in behind the defense. Because when you watch Ribeiro, when he's playing on the wing, he tends to disappear from the games. But when he's allowed to come inside and play in that 10-ish role, run in, two things happen. Number one, he gets more into the game. But then number two, he becomes a little bit less selfish. We did see some strokes of him being not necessarily selfish, but more casual in that game. And I think that kind of hurted him. That hurt him in the game yesterday. He could have scored the 2 goals. He could have played a little bit more. And the second half was very telling for Mamelodi Sundowns, because I have questions about whether this is going to be a new manager bounce situation where the Sundowns team are responding to him. You know how Mangoba had those games where the Sundowns team was responding, they scored all the goals, they did all the damage and all of that stuff. Are we having some of that before we'll get another lull? Guys, feel free to request. Now, today I'll about to request. Feel free to request, bottom of the screen, multi-guest. Tell me what you think about this game and we can have a conversation about it. But if not, I'll carry on going, Mina, and maybe we'll go into the member show a little bit earlier. So that was very interesting to see. I think a standout player was Dennis Onyango, the old man who he looked a bit shaky in the beginning of the game, especially when he was asked to play out from the back, which is maybe why we saw Mamelodi Sundowns go into more transition-based play, actually coming out faster. Because I think they saw Guti, hey, Dennis, man, he's an old man, the old model of Mamelodi Sundowns, can't necessarily play the ball with his feet, and he's not as comfortable playing that ball. I think Obas gave an incredible performance. I think Kimang Mudiba coming in was also really comfortable in that midfield. Maybe liking the fact that he's got that cover, man. Yagalunga and the defense and Aubrey are really covering him. I think that boy Khoza is a star. Khoza is a star, guys. Khoza has the maturity. He's got the maturity, the presence, the awareness, the presence of mind. Like he's playing way beyond. He's playing as if he's somebody who's been playing in the league for a very long time, even though, man, he's only a couple of games into this whole thing. So one for the future for sure. One for the future for sure with Khoza coming in there. Allende took some responsibility in the midfield, something that I had been asking for a very long time, to say that Allende needs to lead that midfield. I know we look at mokwena and we want them to be the leaders, but having Allende central with Mudiba, with Obas, with Korisan, I think that actually stretched the game. Well, that actually made the game a little bit easier in the middle because they were all helping each other. On the right-hand side, I think the only weak point really was Umorena. When you're looking at Umorena and the game that he played, I don't think he was comfortable in that game. I don't think he was ready really to play right back fully. And maybe that's the only place where you ask if Umudiba is Umudao is somebody that needs to come in. Reynas had his chances. And what's interesting about that is it's something I've told you guys every single week. About Dupreez, they're not bad players. The only problem is that Dupreez gets one chance in the game in order for him to go and score. And if he doesn't score that one chance, we all look at him and say, Kihom. How many chances did Reynas get yesterday? How many chances did he miss or fluff or mistrap when he was basically through on goal a few times, right? But to give Reynas his credit, he is the most informed striker we have in South African football right now. He's the most informed. He scores almost every single game that he plays. He's bailed Mamelodi Sundowns out a couple of times this season already, right? What's also interesting about what Mamelodi Sundowns did was that they kept doing the same thing. When I speak about repeated actions in a game, when I speak about doing something over and over again so that we can tell that you have been practicing this thing and it's something that you know to do, that's what I mean, guys. This is what I mean. Why try and make Reynas a target man? Why try and make Reynas a winger when you can play him exactly to what his strengths are? He's fast, he gets in behind, he finishes. He finishes. You know, 1 of 5, but he finishes. So keep creating those chances for him. Keep building up and showing us that it's something you worked on. You know, Aubrey Mudiba, the balls that he was playing in behind with Ukorisan, I believe also Lunga played a couple of balls. Those balls that were played right in behind was something that was done under Coach Rulani a few times last season. So before Sundowns started going too wide and playing those balls from wide areas, they were playing little dink passes from central areas under Rulani. I think that's how he was trying to fix the low block problem or having a team sitting back. So you can tell that whatever they did, Jimin, was to look at those type of balls versus Stellenbosch. Play them in behind. Now, the second half was a completely different setup because we started seeing maybe some of the attitudes switch. And maybe the thing that Coach Mangoba spoke about when he spoke about the team having some problems, with complacency, having some problems coming to the game, having some problems playing for the entire time, started creeping in because they sat back a lot more. And you could see that Stellenbosch pushed up, which then begs the question that if Stellenbosch could be more disciplined in the second half and it stifled Sundowns. And if Raja Casablanca could be more disciplined structurally in their game versus Mamelodi Sundowns, is this going to be a problem that is similar to the problem that is had by Mamelodi Sundowns before, that was had by Coach Rulani, that was had by Coach Mangoba to a degree, where when you meet teams that are more defensively sound, you know, we saw Ubuzaka coming onto the pitch. We saw them a little bit more relaxed in Stellenbosch. They weren't as up and down as they were in the first half, and Sundowns couldn't get past it. Does that mean that that is the way to stop this Mamelodi Sundowns team, and that Mamelodi Sundowns might go into the next couple of games with teams that won't make it as open? I think Stellenbosch was very open in the first half. Second half, they tightened up. But also, I still want to point at the facts of this game. The facts of this game said Mamelodi Sundowns had 12 shots, and they had 4 on target. Right? 12 shots, 4 on target. Stellenbosch had 14 and also got 4 on target. In as much as we're saying Cardoso ball is good, I'm seeing a comment here that somebody's saying Cardoso ball is incredible, it's the best thing, it's good. Aren't these the same stats and the same problems that Mangoba had? Clear-cut chances being missed. Box entries not being taken advantage of. When they do take advantage of them, at times, they score the 1 goal, then they struggle towards the end of the game. And I will still put down my theory to say the problem with Mamelodi Sundowns' play was never about the build-up. It was never about the box entries. It was never about looking beautiful with tiki-taka football or Shushan and Piano Chameleon football, or trying to put a whole bunch of other things onto the pitch where now you're trying to push everybody forward, you're playing quicker. The problem that Mamelodi Sundowns had was the last 25 minutes of the game. 25 minutes. If we look at the games of consequence that Mamelodi Sundowns has played, a lot of the time when they come down to that last 25 minutes, they lose it. And what's interesting is that they've lost it in different ways. They've lost it the Rulani way, where one counter-attack undoes you. You fall asleep for a little bit, it undoes you because you're getting to a place where you're being desperate. Think about the MTN8 final, where he was, MTN8 Nedbank Cup final, where he was desperate to get a goal in that game. And in that desperation, when Rivero brought Abum Fukeng, boom, goal scored, they go home. You think about ES Tunis, who were patient up to a point where there was a counter-attack, they score, boom, they go home. Right? If you watched the games this season, in the beginning of this season, under Coach Mangoba, the games towards the end became ping-pong. And what's interesting about ping pong is that anybody can score in ping pong, and your 1 goal lead could become a completely different thing when you're playing those games back to back. I feel like Stellenbosch, towards the end of that game, were pushing really, really hard. Credit to Dennis Onyango specifically because he made a couple of key saves there. But can Mamelodi Sundowns sustain that? And if somebody scores late, similar to what almost happened yesterday. I mean, they had the exact same chances. What almost happened yesterday. What happens to Caruso? But let me bring in Chero. Chero, welcome to the show. How are you?
How are you, my brother?
Chero King, Mastandawana. Haleba to work at Timelo today.
No, it's gone.
Ah, man. Nilele, in.
The rest of the time.
You
know, festive season.
Hey, Mar. Chero, tell me.
Hey.
We won a Johnny game, Chero. How do you feel about your game that you played versus Stellenbosch FC last night?
I think we played well, man. I think compared to the Sunday game, I enjoyed yesterday's game more because the Sunday game we had a lot of passing backwards, sideways, slow build-ups, that type of football, that type of tiki-taka football. But yesterday, we were direct.
Okay.
We were playing more of a counter-attack, long balls, diagonal balls. So we were more aggressive, I would say, yesterday compared to Sunday. So I think we are better for playing that way. Plus, we have those type of players to play that way. So
Maratero.
yeah.
Isn't this what Mangoba was preaching? Isn't this the football that Mangoba wanted, man? Why couldn't you guys give it to Mangoba, man?
Hey, OT, it goes back to my point. I've been telling you this for the past 3 weeks. With Rulani Mokwena fans, I have a big problem. They're a big problem. Because Mangoba said this at the beginning of the season, which this slow build-up type of football doesn't win major cups. Hence, you see Manchester City, they've won it once. But in Madrid, they play direct and quick football. They win it every other season. So he was trying to move the team towards that direction. Let's be more aggressive. Let's have more box entries, because if we're playing here PSL, it's fine. We want to play a chameleon. But when we're playing Ahly and Raja, you saw how we struggle to penetrate through them. North Africans are very organized.
Yeah.
Even if you look at our goal, it was a counter attack. It was a long ball from the keeper straight upwards, and then it was a goal. It was exactly what Mangoba was saying. But the guys are Sundowns fans, for some reason, they are obsessed with this football, man. I don't know. This football is only won as a league. Pitso Mosimane didn't play this type of football. Pitso will say, if it's 1-0, after 70 minutes, I'm parking the pass and I have no shame. He will park the pass. He will put a defender, pull out a striker, put an extra midfield, and no one will score. So then, about football.
But I want to ask you, Chero, 70th minute, you hit a very important part. Why is it that Mamelodi Sundowns looks a little bit vulnerable? That second half was very different from the first half. The end of that second half, Stellenbosch was pushing, right? Why does it look that way for Mamelodi Sundowns? Because we've seen it a little bit under Coach Rulani in important games. We've seen it under Coach Mangoba. Now maybe we're seeing it under Cardoso. And to be fair, he's only been at the club for a week. But what is causing that thing, man? That your games at the end, halina control, man?
It could be a number of reasons. It could be just a pressure from or expectations from the team or the fans, which we mustn't win 1-0. Sundowns must always win with big scores or play this entertaining football. It could be pressure from within the players themselves. And you must always give credit to oppositions. Because the opposition, they study teams and they know which, after 70 minutes, these guys tend to be weak, so we can push. So it can also be opposition, which they've read us, they know which, these guys, after 70 minutes, plus they don't have nothing to lose. After 70 minutes, you must, because majority of the time, teams tend to sit back. But after 70 minutes and the opposition is winning 1-0, obviously you're going to try and push. Hence, Pitso was saying, Mina, I'll pack the pass and I have no shame. So
tell me about
no, continue. What's your question?
No, I was asking, tell me about Stellenbosch, Chero. Tell me about Stellenbosch. How do you feel about Stellenbosch this season? Is it a team that's going to finish in the Champions League or close to the Champions League like they did last year, losing on the final day? Or have they lost the plot, man?
My feeling, I've seen this happening with Silver Stars back then, when I remember they finished second and then they went to Champions League. So if you play in Champions League and you don't have the team, you're going to struggle. Because now, or Confed, playing in Africa. Either. So you're going to struggle because you're going to want to do well away in Africa and still you want to maintain your thing here, go PSL, which is not possible. Stellenbosch, at least me now, they have 13 good players, or 12. After that, once they do substitutions, the team tends to fall. Plus, the team doesn't have, how do you call this, the experience of playing African continents and the connections. Because sometimes right now, if you check, if they go to these North African countries, they know exactly who to phone, and that person will help them with APCT. If they're going to Congo, they have people there in Congo. So they've got the connections, they've got the history, they've made relationships. But teams like Stellenbosch, if they lose a player through injury, they're in trouble. Sometimes they travel to Dubai just to go back to Congo. So all of those things. So I think they're gonna struggle this season, to answer your question, because of all of those factors. They want to do well in Africa, but last they want to do well in PSL. So one will suffer, or both will suffer.
Okay.
I see them finishing that outside. It's up 8.
Okay, Jero, stay on. I'm gonna come back. Let me go to Vuyo. Vuyo, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
Ngishaba futhi ngibonga ithuba onginikeza lona.
Maningi ngathi namhlanje niyasaba ukungena bomasandawana or iDisemba imnandi.
Yasabe thina si-home OT. Awubonanga izolo kudlala abadlali abana 2 years bagcina ukudlala ibhola bayadlala. They play well.
Yeah.
Yabona. So uDe Rook ugcine nini kumbona? Since abhekiswa phansi ubani uMonapule Saleni le ePulukwana zange waphinde wambona at this point.
Yeah.
He's back now. There's a lot of changes. A player Bokulisan, Badlalile, they play well, they do assist. It's just that they didn't finish up clear chances. Even now, if you can be honest, that game was supposed to be 5-0 or 6-0. Chances about clear chances. So they play well yesterday. And remember, some of the players is the first time they are playing with each other, a full match.
Yeah.
Yes, Bachima together, but they are not. And another thing, if fitness level is gonna count on you. Because that's why the Rook Beapetwa Machekam is on. I will 2 years ungena is a sap ungena sometimes. So not yena pela, Boneo Mayema, they are not familiar with playing each and every game every day. So there is a much changes because if you look at squad Sundowns, like mokwena, you can name them Bomvala, Kekane. They bebangekho kule game yayizo. A lot of players bebangekho izo. So it shows Guti somehow we coach nigeza everyone a chance. But nami nginayo problem ngabo. Badlala ibhola too much. Angazi ngathi itiya or yini. Bafuna ukuphasana ibhola banikeza nemlonyeni. Even halfini yabo bayishare too much. Football sometimes the OT it's one touch, it's a goal.
Yeah.
You can play 3 or touch. You play on your left, it's a long ball, you control, you pass, it's a goal. It's done. Why kumele uze ube fancy niloku nidla niyozenza ama mistake bathathe ibhola bakore nidliwe. Because angi understand le ibhola le mina. Angi understand ukuthi ibhola bande. Ngoba even Barcelona play like this.
Is it overconfidence? Is it sometimes good in Yatsama team at some point? I don't know if you get me. Guti, they play and then mababona guti man lava balahlile nabo man they start playing nje around. Abeko direct, if that makes sense. Abeko, you know.
It's a mistake if mangabe benza logo intentionally because of when you play a team like Sundowns. Ushilo Romeo Lagu Media, everyone umzwile. Sundowns win A1, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
To win the league, it doesn't mean anything. We always want to win. So, and bayibonile leyo the past season, ucoach uhambile after a best season. So why when a player we are able to sign anyone. Now player is signing something 60-something million. When you are playing a team like Sundowns, you need to deliver. When you get the opportunity to play, you play with whatever you have. So that's why I'm very disappointed with the likes of Neo Mayem. They are not giving anything in the field of play, OT. South African wow, basayina ama player nje bawabank. Is this player switching on when he's getting the opportunity? Because this guy is a new coach. He doesn't know anyone. He's giving everyone a chance. I was very impressed with Hulisan, this number 19. Hulisan. He was yeah, he played very well yesterday. He assists, he create, he played very well. And now they are playing different. They are mixing some of the things some of the things rulani. So I understand which kind of football abazoidlala. But at the end of the day, we must give the opportunity to the new coach. Let's not judge Yena early because now it's one of the intelligent guy mina engmaziyo according to izinto anazo nama team our coachile previous team. Ucoachile Europe is not a plumber, by the way. It's a professional coach. Yes.
So then tell me about the second half. Why did the second half look less like the first half? Not that many chances created. Stellenbosch had you under pressure. Is it something Sundowns has to worry about, how these second halves play out?
Yeah, I think they need to worry, but I'm aware Ngale enjoy Sundowns, not the first time. The team of PSL, we must need to give credit when it's due. Now, Lama team now, I know who's coach of first half. Uguti okay, is there any Sundowns? Second half, I'm a coach my dressing room. They'll remind you, especially a team like Stellenbosch. Yesterday, OT, let me go Stellenbosch is tired. OT. Tired is Stellenbosch. Those are the facts. I don't know why it came as a certain team yona iprosponi, but asikho lapho. Angithi abomzala bayazana bomzala, but asiphume lapho. Stellenbosch is cartel sibe Ivory Coast. OT is not easy to fly. It's not easy. You go to Europe, you come back to Africa again. So lento lena ine trauma yayo nje somewhere somehow. Mawungayijwayelanga izok affect. So yes, Stellenbosch first half they sit down kakhulu, second half they up the game because of Stellenbosch is a Stellenbosch. And yesterday none of us was expecting to Stellenbosch sizodlala the way sidlale ngakhona izolo. Yesterday angazi OT bekungavumi for bona. There's nothing beyihlangana for bona.
Mara mina I'm scared for you guys ngoba ngathi mina obvious ku PSL you're going to win most of those games that come down like that. Mara masengena kuma cup nama finali na knockouts of the Champions League. Anisabi lento ukuthi ama second half wenu man anna control man.
OT into wena okumele ikujabulise into okumele uyibonge for izolo i1. We didn't consider OT. Isn't this fana nalezi ziyenzeka noma ngakubani na any team. Even now mangak remind igame Royal AM you supposed to win that game 7-0 if I'm not mistaken. But what happened OT? You draw that game. Even coach yakhe yahleka nokuzibamba. Isn't this so ebholeni ziyenzeka? If you don't score the other team can go ingakuphanisha ngama mistakes wabo. So mina was izolo bengazi ukuthi Stellenbosch sizobuya ngamandla second half. I know. And especially ungena kwakabhansi it make it worse. So mina icoach yam OT let's not keep history ethi ukuthi siya failure kuma cups akakazwa failure to any cup. So far so good. 2 games to win. Angithi sifuna win. So let's give uKadoso Miguel a chance because as akanayo any cup ayidlalile yena. Udlale 2 games to win. So there's nothing wrong. 2 games to win. Sometimes it doesn't matter how you win. The important is to win.
No,
yes, move on.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah.
You go back drawing board uyolungisela ama area lawa ukuthi hey why kani bese basescorile masingakhona ikora sekuno 1 no 2 no 3 because igame yayizolo it was off OT like Sundowns nambe ngisho ukuthi iphele manje game because of there's nothing eyenzakalayo.
Okay, Mara Sala, I'm going to ask you guys one final thing before I go because ngiyabona ukuthi the Sundowns fans don't want to jump in. Let me go to Tumi. Tumi, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, my man, and you?
I'm good. Tumi, tell me about this 1-0 win by Mamelodi Sundowns. How did you feel about the game?
Mina okay, ngasho ukuthi siwinile but ngigrande ngale 3 point nga 1 goal but yey first half Otis miss ama chance abhaya uzwile kuma comment wakho ngibuza ngithi Oti uyabona lo mlilo wenzeka la cause Stellenbosch second half sisikhombe enye into sincedwe ngiDennis Onyako experience yakhe ispanile la and then le game le kumele siwine njengoba uvuyo asho kumele siyibambe ngabo 6-0 5-0 clean sheet yeah. And then enye into i-second half yethu ayibanga yinhle etolo especially after 70 minutes. Lapho bese ngibona khona ukuthi lento leshiwo ngivuyo bese ngidlala nesipeshane phela sengigocene inyawo ngithi nasi isipeshane so equalizer zithi 1. Kanayi sibambile lapho ngaonyango but hayi
mara akusiyo lento ebulala umanqoba. Yona leyo ama 70th minute.
No, if you can check i-pattern kaMancoba, naya kaRulani, naya kaPitso, it's way different. uMancoba wanted this type of play to happen to Sundowns. That's why even Pitso, he told you straight, good. Sometimes the tika football don't benefit you. Instead, you get lost every single game. Lento le ishayile last season. Ishaya kabuhlungu futhi kuma-cups. Ishaya kabuhlungu even na CAF.
Yeah.
Lento uthi ibhola siyayinokha. It's fine. Ibhola, we can play piano football. That's what Sundowns knows about. But yona ukuthi siyidlale so, ihamba isikhawathi. Because Monga after 70 minutes in Dot, yeah, basic rough. Stellenbosch bese siza phezu kwethu. But ngabe understand hathi uyabona Stellenbosch kube besingekho ukuthi sidiniwe because very truly speaking badiniwe labafana. But they must get used to this system because kwathini Sundowns we have been there before. Sidlale Friday, Sunday siyadlala, sidlale Saturday siyodlala Tuesday, so it's part of life, it's part of football. Ngihlala ngisho ukuthi ne-Champions League mawuyibheka i-Champions League idlala le yase-Europe idlala Tuesday and Wednesday. I-Europe idlale mhlambe Thursday and Wednesday or idlale Thursday and Friday Europa League. But those teams over the weekend and Monday bodlala to their leagues same time. So I think i-depth ye-Sundowns ngiyo lesinceda kuthini. Yama-player list now. We have got good quality players.
Yeah.
That's why wonke umdlali ufuna phakamise isandla. I'm also worried ngoNeo Mayema. He doesn't give us anything. And I don't know why avela phakangaka because man. He must show up. If you want to go back to the national team, he must show up. If you can see the lack of Modiba, umbonile izoladlala iposition in the midfield. He was good. He was delivering. Cody Sang, it's been a while. The Rook has been a while not playing. Khoza, excellent boy. So why he's not giving us what we need to do?
Mara nimtembe too much Mayema. Because I feel about Mayema the same way I feel about Abombule. Yes, they are very good players, Mara. They hardly got a chance, Manukdala, for this team. And I understand Gutin Batembile, Nabatanda, but when they come onto the pitch, isn't the fact that these guys haven't played much football and maybe your expectations are a bit too high up?
Okay, ngiyakuzwa kuloko kusho uthi, but mawungacheka uMayema has been with Sundowns, I think this is the third season. I mean, this is the second season at Sundowns.
Yeah.
Or it's the third season at Sundowns. Umayema is a good player. You can't take that away from him. We know him. Then we need lento legas niggas. We need that thing. We're not gonna fight the players, but the thing we just need them to pull up their socks so that it's in a single also coach it's and they are bench warmers, they are freezing in the green stand. We don't want that. We need the players to play. So they must fight their position at Sundowns. You can't play number 10, sharing number 10 with Ribeiro. So if Ribeiro is not there, which means we are gonna struggle. Because we need someone who can pick up from Ribeiro. We need someone who can replace Mshish. We need someone who can replace Utebo Homkwen. We need someone who can replace Umdao, Unangjani, Opas. So the players, they must give us what we want.
So how do you balance it? How do you balance? Because in this game, Ukochwenu came in and he rotated, he brought in a bunch of people. Some were forced, for example, Onyango coming in because Williams was away. You saw about the Rick coming in. We've seen Kodisan come in, Morena came back at right back. How does he balance the rotation? Because we've seen rotation not work under Rulani where he wasn't necessarily rotating. Now we've seen Mangoba was rotating too much. How does the new coach balance rotation and how do you feel about rotation?
No, mina ngaloko ngigrandi ngako. Ucoach we understand my player a training. We are born a training. Those players they didn't get much time, game time to play, but they can give you something. I can see them on a training. Everyone the lineup izolo bekayidoubt. Even ku-group lenguyo mina bathi le lineup yosaphela. Ngabatshela ngathi lana we just need one goal and then we know we're gonna make sure. And then like I really hate my ngiyasola ukuthi why ngisho so izolo. ngoba le one goal at least ube ngithe ngifuna 4 goals buyangenile ke lawa lamanye but le line up wonke umuntu bekayidoubt because ngaphindza ngathi mina hayi man if ma Sundowns you must know yourself ukuthi want to wafaka ijezi bathi ku first 11 which means you replace the best of the best in the bench there.
Yeah.
Some of them they're in the grandstand so bahleli lapho I can say mina hayi i-rotation i-grand.
Okay.
Singazosolo ukuthi kunama player lahlele fridge njengabo Dirk. I was worried ngalo mfana lo because I like him a lot. That boy is a good player, Chief.
Let me bring in PK. PK.
Hola, Uti.
Hey, Leshai, man.
Sure.
Kere Leshai.
Orarona.
Hey, Leshai.
Arishai Uti Ribiz. I get non prepare the arrangements. It's a FIFA Club World Cup. So it's not Bushai, it's just been busy.
PK, how did you feel about the game yesterday?
Yeah, no, let me start by congratulating Mamelodi Sundowns. I think there is a direction. Where there is change, there is always doubt and uncomfortability. I am glad with what the team is trying to do. One, we're not gonna change the style of play. We've been playing this football.
Yeah.
The question is, how do we convert and bring wins at home? Because we've been dominating, yet we've been losing unnecessarily finals. And yesterday I saw something that is very interesting. Yesterday I saw that we for a longest time I never saw Mamelodi Sundowns defending like it defended yesterday. And I think there is a plan at hand.
Yep.
The plan is to break through counter attacks, something that we are not used to, with the long runs. We saw this on Saturday. Ka Williams answer Lethaku and Lethaku bringing it back and Reina scored.
Yeah.
Very fast. Sundowns is a slow team that used to build from the back. And we do that with an intention to scoop the ball. And we know we have runners like Borenas who can convert. Once he get that opportunity and the speed, now he is playing to his strength. And I had a lot of people criticizing Ribeiro. Ribeiro is created for a role almost like Zwane, a role where he dribbles, he penetrates, and he gives a true pass. I am just excited on how this boy will come up, which is Matthews with Reynas and Morena on the other side. So I believe that we're gonna be a bit unstoppable with this style of play that we are trying to bring in the picture of saying, okay, for a longest time we failed to defend. But in front, from the middle field to in front, you wouldn't play with us. We will dominate you like you are not in the ground. But now, let's invite you by knocking the ball behind. And when you come and you think we are pressurized, because yesterday, if you saw how Ribeiro missed those two opportunities, it was through the very same style of saying scoop behind them, attack them, so that they don't get too comfortable on pressing us. And I think it was through that moment where I was like, oh, at least we have a plan. Because people, they think that we knock for, yes, I can say we've been knocking for the reason of not knocking, and Mangoba was against that. Why do you knock and hold the ball so for a longest time, and when we go in front, we don't have a plan? What do we do? So if you are bringing this style of play, then you will be able to see about, I mean, yesterday this boy played a beautiful Lunga, define Lunga, because it's a speedy player. That's why you will see him. That's why he will give you his ability to say, I am here, I can cross, and if I'm crossing, can someone run from there? And if you look at Lodge, in the adaptation of Mamelodi Sundowns, he's been struggling with that thing of trying to run, but no one was giving him those balls. Now Ribeiro is in that way, in that level of saying, okay, I will break, I will dribble, I will break, then people will run, then we finish them.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a beautiful thing to see. I think this new style, it's I really like it, and we must never at any point downplay Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch was in the field. Stellenbosch is a tough team. Stellenbosch is a fast team. But yesterday we were able to contain them, not because they were weak, but we have a strategy. And I think sometimes our biggest mistake is to think that Sundowns is invisible in the ground. And when the team challenges them, we feel like they didn't perform. But the honest truth is that we are playing against tough teams like Stellenbosch. You wouldn't expect. And people also come with a plan. They know how we play. But I'm glad on how we are able to combine this thing. And remember, our this coach now, Cardoso is very tactical. We know that. We saw that in last year, Esperanza, when he was making sure that we are not going through. It was very painful because it was a frustrating football, yet they were playing. And yesterday I saw us frustrating Stellenbosch, and they were like, we are here, but they were nowhere to be found. And that's what I love. These teams that are outside, they already know our football, but let them come and think that you can pressurize like that. That is why Reyners now he's just uplifting himself, because that's his strength. And once we have someone like him in front, even if we are under pressure, we will show people flames.
Can I ask you, PK, about the second half? And I want to speak about your style of play. Do you think that your players have adapted to the style of play? Is that maybe we're seeing that they run so much in the first half that in the second half, man, they're a bit tired from that play because it demands a lot if you're going to be transitioning over and over and over again the way that they were. Can you tell me a little bit about that second half? Why did it look different? Why did Stellenbosch get the chances? Are you worried about how Sundowns finishes games in terms of the control that they have on the game, the types of chances you concede towards the end of games? Tell me about that second half.
Yeah, I think let me start here. We have never been strong in defensive for the past 3 seasons, I think. We have never been, as much as we have players, we are exposed several times in the left back, in the center back, where when we felt pressure, Abu Mvala, they were able to make own goals. We were not really strong defensively. And I think that was our biggest downfall.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to defend. That is why I said in the beginning, when you go to midfield and you go to striker, you will find that Sundowns is very dominant. But when you attack them and you put them very under pressure, you will see, people are open. That's us. So I wouldn't be very much surprised on how slowly we are adapting to a style of defense. And now he's exposing some gaps to say, guys, when Luna Modi Koneng, you are lacking. Ngarla Leka, you don't defend the last pole, and several times we've been reshuffling the last pole. So what are we doing with that thing? At least there is something to work upon. And I can strongly say, yes, we are struggling, because that's where most of the team, any team, in those moments, they throw it all. They are like, we are going, it's either we do it or we don't do it. And that's where we are struggling, honestly, because that's our weakest link. That's where you will find us really. That is why I was saying we try to knock it at the back, and we are trying now to say, okay, you pressurize us like that, be warned, because we can do counter attacks and we can kill you. That's what we are trying to instill. Although we are trying by all means to say, okay, how do we defend this thing? How do we defend? And remember, OT, most of our left center backs are injured.
Yeah.
So you are looking at khoza, very well adopted and very well gelled in the team.
But still
but
young.
the comfortability of bullying, to say we are here. You know, he bullies the space. Yeah, well, you know, you feel them. But now the honest truth is that there is that thing there, man. Short. That one I have noticed it. If it was not by Onyango, we could have went maybe 1-1. Even they could have scored and crushed us. But he made very good safety yesterday, which was very good. And I think also Onyango, he was on the first pole and he saves via the cross. I think if you check Onyango's performance yesterday, and I don't want to be, but I'm gonna say it. If it was Williams, with those drop balls, we
Yeah.
could have considered. But the height of Onyango and his experience and closing those crosses really helped us a lot yesterday.
Okay.
Williams is there. Yes, he's a good goalkeeper, but those moments whereby Obone ifita mupile gagage, then he turns, then it's a goal. It's a problem for Sundowns. I don't know for how many times, and I nkarabamo lemugile to say, yeah, no, this one he doesn't go he sometimes gets lazy, especially yeah. So Onyango really played a huge role yesterday for us to win this game, and I don't want to downgrade his performance yesterday. He really did good, and yeah, that's the thing.
Okay. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left. I want to ask Jero. I want to ask the three of you the same question. How do you feel about Cardoso? What are the things that maybe he could fix there at Mamelodi Sundowns? So those are two questions. What can he fix? How do you feel about him? I know it's early. I know it's early.
Yeah, that's a difficult one because now it's still early. What he could fix, it's difficult, man, at Sundowns because even he came in a team sitting on position 1. So you know when you come in and the team is on number 1, I think maybe I will ask a different question.
Okay.
Or why were the previous 2 coaches fired? So that now he could fix what those coaches failed to fix, because Rulani got fired. He won the league and semi-final Champions League. Mangoba was fired sitting at position 1. So maybe that's the question I always ask myself, and I don't have an answer because it's difficult to fix things at Sundowns. Maybe he can play faster. Maybe he can rest players more. Because that's what Mangoba was trying to do, knowing the calendar of his Sundowns for the year. Maybe we are not gonna have Sundowns a fluid like previous seasons, because they will be forced to change considering the calendar. So maybe this beautiful football we're expecting we're not gonna get because he's gonna be forced to rotate. But let's give Ukados at least a month. Then I can maybe be able to answer that question. But for now, it's 2 games, and I haven't seen any changes really.
Is the Champions League really a goal for this season, or is this season also him getting into it?
I don't think so, man. Well, they will say that, but in reality, the Champions League, it's not like you win it every other season. It's only Real Madrid and Ahly who do that in the world. The other teams, they win it maybe once after 4 years or once after 3 years, kind of thing. It's not something you win every second season like the league. So for me, now he's coming in, he's new. If he wins the Champions League, he will be lucky.
Okay.
Seriously, he also pull a group in. Yes, quarterfinals when it's time to play Ahly or Zamalek. I'm not too sure who's corner in this year, but not African teams. If you wanna play tiki taka again, we are definitely gonna lose. We need to change our strategy against those teams.
For time, let me go to Vuyo. Vuyo, how do you feel about Cardoso? I know it's very early. And what does he have to fix? Bafaro munye. So there must be something that he must fix. What do you feel like? And is the Champions League really, honestly, something that he should be judged on this season?
No, the sporting director ushilo uthi wathi yonke into for Sundowns important. Ubonile last season siluze kakhulu ama-cup yabona. So siluze kakhulu ama-cup siyile kuma-final, but we fail to win ama-cup. So yiyo rule number 1 ukuthi once we go to ma-final, we take this cup. Once we reach, how long Otis reach ama-semi-final okay with Champions League? It's so many times. Always Sundowns izophuma kuma-semi-final. At least asesihambe siye kuma-final siyodliwa khona yabona. Sibe ama-runners up we-CAF. That's different angayileta. And I believe ukuthi lamanye ama-coach bebangekho that far, but beba need a certain experience nomuntu obuya khona le eNorth o understand ama-team wale eNorth ukuthi adlala bhola abani ukuze athole something. Because naye uCardoso akahlalanga isikhathi eside kuleya team. But sometimes othi empilweni iyafuneka luck. There's nothing wrong up with Sundowns. There's nothing wrong, so far so good. They play well. Even namanje coach Mancoba, some people feel otherwise, but sometimes if you're failing something to achieve, someone else must come and someone else uzozane na everything different OT. And enenye into esingayiboni sonke, to bring a foreigner coaches to Sundowns team. Laba players, I think they were so comfortable OT. Disrespecting utlangibutang OT khale ntate mokwena alimo una 10 years what you see. But when you see someone ongamazi, it's not your friend. He's here for umsebenzi wakhe, yabona. So you will change your decision. Definitely you will change. Something is going to change with Sundowns this season. And but not something wow OT when it's come to the league. We're going to, you know, everyone now, what I love, everyone is going back original position, by the way. We're going to cruise very nice the league, as always. There's nothing wrong. And the way manje ebambinga khona Sundowns, look, exchange ama players. Lento le izokwenza ama players with Sundowns abe more confidence to play and abe more consistent to win ama game. Everyone will want to come to the party. Than ngiyazi ukuthi i-favorite yaka bani Kilibusa. Libusa must play. Libusa must play. Even if the rookie already. No, give everyone the chance. I think coach ibambe ngendlela right. Kumele abe consistent kuwin yakhe. It doesn't matter. Just win each and every game. It will take you away from everything.
Let me bring in PK. PK, how do you feel about Cardoso up to this point? I know it's very early. I'm asking you just for a straight feelings and no facts up to this point. And then what must he change? Go Sundowns. You touched on a bit of them, but can you just give me what must he change? What must he do that's different?
Yeah, no, Cardoso, let me give him a benefit of a doubt. I think one thing that we have been in short of is defensive mentality. We've been very arrogant to a point that we thought that we are the only team that is in the ground, and now he's bringing the reality to say that reality. You know, when these northern teams they are playing and they are wasting time. That thing, it will irritate you to a point of losing yourself. I think, and they are winning. Eh? One of them is Ahly. Ahly just came to Orlando and say, we are just coming for a draw. We don't care whether they are weak or they are strong. We are going for a draw. So this is one of the things that can really, really make Sundowns to get the second star even more. And Cardoso is a good coach. So the challenge here about Cardoso is that, yes, you can defend, but you have attacking players that you cannot contain, which they will outride your philosophy. What do you do with them? So it's a balance equation to say you have to use the full capacity of the squad. You have defenses, you have midfielders, and you have strikers. You don't have excuse. What we want, the mandate is very clear, and we believe that through the defensive mentality, you can bring on how do we break through, how do we score. And the other thing is for us to be clinical, score the goals. That one, it must be emphasized, and it will help Cardoso to goals are there, man. We have seen Gaman Ngobashem. Goals are there. Just how do you find players, the right players to score those goals?
Wait, very quickly, PK, are you saying that the element of competition that maybe left Mamelodi Sundowns, and maybe that's something that needed? Because I mean, you guys are well known, Hore. Lekasa to buy two in a position to go fight each other, the three of them, for example. And then Coach Rulani maybe had a favoritism that he came with. Was that missing? Do you think that that's the real thing here?
This is the real thing. Remember, Mangoba said, if you are coming in as a Luthaku and you have, I know that I have confidence in you and you can do those kills and score. Don't think that you are better than Ribeiro. So same applies to Ribeiro. When Ribeiro is in that position, he must never think that he is bigger than the squad. We can play and we can score, because now the problem here, it was Mudau already knew in the past coaches that I have a spot, whether they like it or not, I'm gonna get there. And now you are getting in 70th minutes, and the whole South Africa is saying you are the best right back. What goes to your mind? You are saying pull up your socks. It's a psychological thing. You don't get too comfortable here. And one player that has been outstanding in the position of saying I'm not getting too comfortable is been Rowan Williams. He's been out. He's been performing, and I'm sure he's scared where he is yesterday to say yeah. I must come back to my senses. Exactly. I must come back to my senses. Though that's what I love about this coach. Even yesterday, it was not necessarily rotation. It was who is who. I want to know the players. And they must be worried, because Divine Lunga, how do you bring Mudiba back to that position after Divine Lunga's performance?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
PK, we're gonna go into the member show now, but I think we've had a very interesting, guys. We're gonna move on to the member show. Thank you to PK, thank you to everybody that jumped onto the panel. We're gonna go into the member show now. Let me just see if I can't start this call. So the members, if you want to be a member of the show, you have to go to my YouTube channel and then click on subscribe and click on join. That way you can join the WhatsApp group. So what you're going to hear now is audio that's going to come from the WhatsApp group. So every Thursday, the members get to decide what topic they want to discuss on the show. We have a ton of conversations that we have on that group. So as a perk for those who contribute towards the show, they get to jump in and actually give me what they're thinking. So today, we're going to be speaking about Orlando Pirates. There's been something about Orlando Pirates where Orlando Pirates has not been playing. After CAF games, they've been off a bit. The schedule is saying that they're not going to play Chiefs or Pirates until next year, Chiefs or Sundowns until next year, for example. There's been things that have been laid down, and some people are saying that it might be a tad bit unfair for them to get time off, and while everybody else, Abo Sundowns, have to play. But then you can get into conversations about whether this actually is or is not an advantage, because you could call it an advantage, but then also these breaks are something that has maybe harmed Kaizer Chiefs, for example, constantly having these breaks. So that is what we're going to get into now with the members. Let me just get them on the line, and then we'll go from there. But feel free up to this point, while I get them on, to just tap the screen, like the show, do all of those things. Send gifts. I see Papa Hosi, Sipo, while I just tell my group in, and we can have the conversation about something that they chose. Hey, everybody's here. Okay, welcome, members.
Hey, show team, woman. It's the member show. It's the member show. Show OT.
Let's go on. I don't want to fight with anybody's wives. Please, let's go on. Let's go faster. Guys, I'm gonna jump straight into it for time's sake. Welcome everybody. So we voted, and the vote came out to say that we're going to speak about Orlando Pirates, but I want to expand the conversation, and I want to speak about the resting and the schedule. Then we'll get into the Pirates one. So I'm gonna open it first, and just have everybody a couple of people, because Rebangata, just tell me, how do you guys feel about the scheduling of the PSL in general? And the floor is open. I will control as far as possible, but you guys know we're going to treat it like one of our very active WhatsApp chats. So I don't know who wants to jump in. Kumo, do you want to start off?
Yeah. Evening, everybody. I hope you are well. In general, I think that the scheduling in the PSL is one of the most congested globally. But then again, it also makes the league interesting. I mean, like we all know, Sundowns will always win the league. It's a given. But actually, certain teams can actually stand a chance of winning the cups in between. Now, the problem now lies is that when you add other continental cups such as CAF, I know some of you can relate. So it becomes such a mission because remember, I get actually Namara. Remember how Africa is very expensive. Expensive meaning is very big. Essentially, like traveling sucks, right? And sometimes you don't get direct flights unless you are Sundowns, you charter a plane. So having said that, it takes a toll on certain teams. Hence why most of the PSL games have to be postponed, and you find the luxury of your Sundowns playing every 2 or 3 games, and they're like 5 games behind the other teams. So yeah, I mean, congestion is another thing, but it helps a lot when the PSL chairman is also your club, so you don't have to worry about fatigue. And this other thing with congestion, it helps that you have a big squad. But having said that, a lot of people, when Sundowns complain about fatigue and scheduling conflicts, they like to say, why are you crying, Moose? You've got the biggest squad, you've got over 40 players. I don't know the number they get it from, but the point is that a lot of people are so entitled to our squad. Even if you've got 80, these people travel and they get tired. And none of you can say, you can handle this move, you've got big squad. There's no only gripe with this thing.
Okay. I'm going to keep it open. Guys, how do you feel about the scheduling of the PSL? Stereophonic?
Yeah. Look, I think the scheduling is a global thing. But for Sundowns, I don't want to say they shouldn't complain, because it is a general complaint. But I think Peter has been complaining about it even when they did the whole CAF thing, and they had to go to the Club World Cup and all of that fixture congestion stuff. But also, if you guys remember, 2009-2010, where it was World Cup year, and they had to try and finish the season by I think March or February. I mean, how we were able to squeeze in all of that, and it's something that it was a concern. Now we're coming back to, because now it's a global thing, where now we have all these tournaments happening, and I think fortunately for Sundowns and maybe Orlando Pirates, there was no AFL. I don't see it as a big deal, but at the same time, we've had these things before. It's nothing new. I'm just saying it's nothing new. So I think the PSL is trying their best, but obviously we're looking at Orlando Pirates and we're like, but how? What? Look at Sundowns, look at Stellenbosch. They went through the same processes. Why couldn't they get their fixture postponed? While so now everyone is looking at that, and then now the conspiracy theory comes about because the chairman, they're linked to the chairman. So good connection, and I guess it's a South African thing to have that conspiracy to say mara corruption
Mara, can I ask, is there an effect on non-Champions League teams? Is the schedule favorable for them?
Yes and no. I think yes, in the sense that, if you're going through a bad patch, you have some time to try and put things together so that the next game, you can try again. But at the same time, it goes with the team in form. And then how do you carry on from that form, that rich vein of form? Because now the momentum is not necessarily on your side. So it's a double-edged sword situation. But to honestly, for non-Champions League playing teams, the fixture congestion is not a big deal.
Okay. Guys, agent?
Yeah. Evening.
How do you feel about hey Mara network?
Sorry. Can you hear us, Oti?
I can hear you, but then I think agent is just having an issue there. I'll go agent in 014. Agent?
Yeah.
Network I do mainly. Network I do mainly, agent.
I can hear also, Penny.
It's cutting a lot on our side. Let me go to 014. 014, can you hear me? Yeah, but or is it me? Can you guys hear me properly?
Yeah, we can hear you properly, Mr. Oti.
Hey, Mara, it's cut. Okay, let's see. 014, let's try it again.
Where's your network, OT?
Barikian, it's just... No, they say I'm fine. I just asked. Even on the comments on TikTok, they're saying that it's only you that's cutting. Okay, let me do this. Let me bring in somebody else. Guys, how do you feel about the schedule before we actually speak about the Pirates? So if I can get one more person just to jump in.
Can I jump in quickly?
Okay, Fana, then Kopan.
Yeah, good evening to the panel and everyone on the comments. I think the scheduling was perfect before all these postponements. So it's going to look like unfair to other clubs now. The best they could have done, the PSL could have maybe postponed the matches as soon as the teams that qualifies maybe to the knockout phases. Those matches can be postponed. The team that qualifies to the knockout can then be granted for the postponement, but the rest of the matches were supposed to be played. Sundowns was playing their matches last season. Every 2 days, Sundowns was playing. So now all the matches must be played as per normal.
Is it an advantage or a disadvantage? Because, the teams that are not playing Champions League, does this affect them positively or negatively? Yeah. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's affecting the teams that are not participating in the Champions League right now, because it kills their momentum, because they are supposed to be playing their matches, they are preparing every week. So those teams should not be affected by this.
Okay. Let me go to Kopano before then we go directly to Pirates. Kopano, you wanted to jump in and say something there?
Yeah, no, OT. I think I sort of understand why the scheme was bad, right? But also, I think they could have done better, because there's a week whereby only Sundowns was playing. There was weekends whereby you only have one Carling Cup game, and you sort of don't understand why is it that teams are not playing. And like others said, yes, it kills the momentum, and it doesn't send a nice message to the sponsors also in that department. But and how I don't think they should suit. This is not Egypt or Algeria. I don't think they should do that. Pirates is a big team. I think they should at least try some ease, have a big squad, and at least don't travel like you are a Stellenbosch, for example, someone who's. I feel like they should have done better, and we should have by now at least been like in other seasons whereby you have played enough games, because we have just played some teams have played 9 on average, 9, 8, and it doesn't look good to be honest with you. But again, they can do better with the schedule. If teams have enough or competitions to compete in, then it forces them to have a bigger squad, and it forces them to administer their teams well. So I think if we go that route, then we are going to become a nation that is well prepared for any other thing that is going to happen to a football club, like, for example, AFL. But if we become too relaxed and too lenient on, we have to on this, then we are becoming rubber soft, man. You need to be strong for these things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let me put it on the floor. How do we feel about Orlando Pirates and, for example, them not playing this weekend, or this week? People are saying that Pirates hasn't been playing in these games, even though Pirates has had a very packed schedule themselves. I believe they're one game behind. Mtakababa velile. Ngizoqala ngawe uthi uyimele team yakho man with defender. Welcome.
Hey, kunjani bafu?
Ngimnandi velile man, well rested thina abanye. Tell me velile
lo nyaka ukuvumile ngokuphumula vela hayi into zakho.
Mara siyakhala nathi ngoba hawo. Bavele bahlise and then bahlale 2 weeks babande futhi. But anyway, velile uthi ngale ndaba but.
No, ngiyakuzwa uyakhuluma uthi abantu bayakhala, akunabantu abakhalayo mntakababa. I-Sundowns beyi-right basese-57. Since ba-edekile nalabantu u-agent ababiza ngabo Bamila Khuthulwa yibo abangumsindo so bafika.
Yeah.
Because like it seems like ngathi yomele hlale sifundisa njalo. And sometimes it's difficult to explain ukuthi what does it take for ama-game amanye to be postponed by PSL or even CAF as a whole. Angazi sochaza kuze kubuye imvana straight la. But if people have already taken a decision ukuthi PSL is biased, there's nothing we can do. We can have these lives every day. But they've already taken a position. Asenze kanje. Ku PSL ne CAF. The sooner we realize ukuthi Africa, most of the countries, like it's third world countries, and as long as we don't have a strong SADC teams playing CAF Champions League, we still South African teams are like CAF, they're still gonna suffer the consequences versus the repercussions in total.
Ngiyakuzwa unesikhathi man lapha emakhaya.
Yeah, so manje it does affect kakhulu because if you look at the North Africans, there's only 4 clubs or like 4 countries that are dominant with CAF, and they're dominant. They're always there, whether it comes to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and finals, which is the team from Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. Abomakhelwane la. Abomakhelwane la, boy 4. So if you're going to have a group stage of 2, and with the majority teams coming from those countries, for Bona, a longest trip that they can have is to come to South Africa.
So just to jump in there, it's similar to Mamelodi Sundowns group there has Raja and AS FAR, same country.
Yes.
Magmele badlale some games man, same stadium even, Stadium V Mohammed.
You see, there won't be any interruption or that affection kakhulu kangako. Yabona. So the sooner vele lokumele sikwamukele, that's so kumele siphile nako lokho vele kunjalo. And we cannot come and always try to blame PSL and the moving of fixtures. It's like it's something so angazi like it's a catastrophe. And of which it happened everywhere. Even CAF has postponed CAF. What's this cup? The CAF Champions League. Yeah. Not Champions League. What's this CAF in the country?
AFCON.
AFCON.
December next year.
But the same set of supporters will never hear them complaining. Because we know who's in charge there. So, but asiko lapha
consistent.
No, injalo. That's why ngithi that's by 57 right. Siyabaza by 57 because we know them by playing good soccer, analyzing soccer. Since bafika labaningi sekuphakwa sekumnandi sekuwinwa sinenkinga la in South Africa. So this week Pirates was playing away in North Africa. West Africa in Cote d'Ivoire. Stellenbosch was playing here in Angola. The Pirates came back Monday evening. And as they were expected to play Tuesday now. Or Wednesday. It came back Monday evening. And on that week, Mark postponed the game. You remember what this Saturday for there's this cup, there's this Carling Cup game and it's 21.
Yeah.
Who's coaching there?
Vero.
So was he supposed to come back also now and prepare that team also? So ngicela ukuthi nawe mdaba bosisikhathi usincede usifundisele abantu mhlambe ukusigugulela usifuna imithetho yonke when it comes to postpone ama game ukuthi how many days or how many hours must it take for a game to be postponed, especially if you are going to play away in those countries where it's going to be a long trip, especially the North African countries, because we know there's no direct flights going there. And sometimes you have to connect that to buy and come back. But if you are going to play here in Zimbabwe, Angola, and Mozambique here, it's understandable for you to come back here and play after 3 days.
Okay.
So, as already been in a conclusion when we have to find it. Let's find information first, and then we'll complain after. Because the PSL, I believe PSL this season has tried by all means, not to say Magebe Pirates postponed. Even now, Sundowns, Stellenbosch, they've been postponed. But the way there's got so many complaints, you'll swear with their game, they've never been postponed. It's only Pirates game. But is going to be fair. Just appreciate when the mistake are trying to be fixed by our PSL. And sometimes you have to give applause. Don't always just complain now and then. No, it doesn't work like that, Buff.
Let me see. Tabeleng, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, I wanted to add on very late. At the end, towards the end of the conversation, he mentioned what I wanted to say actually. Usually PSL when they reschedule, they look at it. I mean, remember Mamelodi Sundowns 2 weeks back played against AS FAR away. The game was also postponed during the week because of they're considering how the distance, the way Velila wrapped everything up. They don't just postpone because Pirate or get Sundowns. Pirate in the 2 games whereby they had to go to Stade Abidjan, Ivory Coast. Velila said it. Do you expect them to play? I mean, Sundowns went to AS FAR, and I think their game against was it Cocoon or something. It was also rescheduled. Do you expect Sundowns to come back from Morocco or whatever and come play here? It's impossible. It will also happen. We must prepare ourselves. Sundowns is playing around the 15, 16, somewhere there, 5, 6, 16 January. Their games are also going to be rescheduled because of they're going to play in Raja.
Yeah.
So they won't play Raja and come back and play here. And that's something that's been happening. But I think PSL are starting to realize, that's why it's being implemented more now. But you can't say Stellies went to Angola and they looked at it and were like, okay, it's possible for Stellies to play. So I think if Stellies were playing in like maybe West Africa or Morocco or something like that, their games will also be postponed. There's just some things maybe we don't search or look for ourselves, but yeah, that's what usually FIFA PSL postpone games for.
Okay, let me bring in Vito. Vito.
Sure, man.
You wanted to say something, man. Again.
Yeah.
Very quickly, I won't be long. Just feel like one little remark.
Man. Okay.
My thing is that the PSL seems to be fair this year because of one element, Paradise playing. As Sundowns, we've been having the same problems. Whether I go Abuja, Timbuktu, Navasnata, but we played even though we came in the evening. Even this service, like our players, Batlamuntuena, more Bafana on duty. We played a final. Yes, right now, this time they seem to be fair because everyone's a reparated thing. So that is our gripe. It's not only because of this year, but the past seasons, there's always been the pattern. And it's too much attention not because of who's playing in CAF. Take us seriously, guys.
But Mr. Ochi, sorry to come in. But if you look at the past 2 seasons or 3 seasons, Sundowns had games in hand. Sorry, about Skis.
Yeah, let me do this. Vito, come in. Vito, come in.
Skis, not forget all this. Skis.
Vito, and then we address.
I'm sorry, my man.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Kumo knows how to touch those sensitive places. Anyway, thank you. First time on the show. Nice to be here. I'm an overthinker, apparently. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yes. For me, interesting topic, I must say. But I think what Motsepe is trying to do in African football as a whole is to solve exactly what we're talking about. Because when you look at the kind of money that teams are getting now, especially for participating in like the Club World Cup and our AFL and all that, it's the kind of money that can make you to buy more players, right? I remember that fluke season where Kaizer Chiefs went to, I'm a Chiefs fan by the way, that went to the Champions League final. We did. In never pala no more group. and then they beat us comprehensive. And then last game, the coach didn't even bother coming. He sent a second string team, lady assistant coach, lady Gehele, chef, Balo coach as the assistant. So there, during the game, we beat them and we managed to qualify. And then we beat them in the semi-final. So this shows me that people can actually do manage. You know, the only issue for me is that when certain teams feel like they are entitled to always getting their way. Well, I'm not mentioning names, but I think when money is pumped into it, I mean, it's already happening in Europe. One team will play like 2 or 3 times a week, you know, so it's normal. The only thing more Africa is that like the logistic part of it is quite tricky because you'll be traveling for 18 hours, and Africa is very huge, by the way. So I think yeah, it makes soccer exciting because our Vito can place more bets during the week, and our OT can enjoy more football during the week and all of that. So it's nice for fans, but for teams, I think it will push certain teams that don't want to spend money to eventually spend money so that they can participate in such competitions.
Just to jump in before I let Velile and Tabeleng come in, this is something that was mentioned by Gavin Hunt. He said that during that Chiefs time, when he was with Chiefs, he was like, hey, it's a completely different traveling schedule because you can charter flights, you can do all of those things when you're at Chiefs. But I think the next question after Velile and Tabeleng come in, I'm going to ask you guys, what can CAF do about this? Because isn't this not only affecting, I say about Pirates, isn't this affecting all of the teams on the African continent in terms of how they perform, where they play, how they play, the travel, and how does CAF fix it at that level? And then I want to, after that, focus on South Africa because I don't think having more time is necessarily a good thing. And we need to have that conversation as well. So Velile, you can just, Velile and Tabeleng, you can just say the points you were saying. Then we can go into how does CAF fix this?
I'm getting on Tabeleng.
Oh, Tabeleng?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up Tabaya games in hand, you know. I mean, it's not as if people and games. I mean, Pitso at some point had like 3 games in hand after winning a league at last minute against you guys, I think. So this thing has always been happening. It's just that now there are more eyes to the game and there are more like people following the game. It is no longer just about PSL on line. So that's what I wanted to say. And Velile was about to say the same thing, I think.
Okay. So let me put it on the table. How does CAF fix this? Because it seems to be affecting a lot of people. How does CAF go about fixing this? Stereophonic?
But I think for us PSL guys, I think if you remember before, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, the CAF schedule was January to or February to November. Then they began to move the dates to sort of fit the European thing from August to May.
Yeah.
And in honesty, it should work in our favor because our fixtures move from August to May. So for on the side of CAF, for CAF, especially for us people who watch, for the PSL guys, I think it's more of how we should work around that CAF schedule because now it aligns with our calendar. You get what I mean? So
but then is there something CAF could do to maybe, I don't know, group certain countries or group travel? So maybe, I know it was tried in the AFL and I'm just throwing something on the table where maybe if Pirates knows that, if we know Pirates has, if Sundowns has to play Raja Casablanca and AS FAR, for example, why not allow Pirates to go that side for a week and say, okay, instead of having to travel back and forth and doing all those things, Hambani, play those games, finish up, come back, play the game separately on another time so that the other leagues can adapt, if that makes sense. How would you guys feel about those type of things? Are there fixes for this scheduling thing?
You just mentioned one. That one that's a perfect example. But then they can also sort of, even though it may be unfair, bring it back to when you look at the youth tournaments, where we can just make it regional qualifiers, and then those who come out of the regional qualifiers go into the group stages. It maybe doesn't, it may not work, but that is another way. That, okay, make it a regional qualifiers, and then those that come out of the regions, Kosafa, Sekafa, Wafu, and all of that, and then they come together, and then there's the CAF Champions League group stage or Confederation Cup group stages. That's another one. But honestly, CAF is actually doing their best. Especially, it definitely favors leagues that have that calendar from August to May, as far as scheduling is concerned. So so I think the onus is on the PSL, and I think they're trying their level best.
Let me change the question. I'm gonna go Kumo, then I'm gonna go Vito. Velile, are you jumping to Fruget?
Yes. No,
Okay.
yeah. I just wanted to add on what Umfowethu and you what they were saying. I think one of also the method that they can use is to also adapt the strategy, say FIFA week, whereby if the next 7 days is like we said, like the CAF calendar. Because if sometimes have you seen like international FIFA break that week, how does it work? Play 2 games in a space of 7 days, and then probably rest for another like a week or 2, and then another come the next 7 days. You play 2 games because it is an advantage whether on either of the teams if the last game played at your home, which means the next game, your Betway Premiership or maybe it might be the Cup, cannot be postponed because the last game was at home, and then we are already here. So then we don't have to move the next game domestically. The same way, let's say if it happened if we play our last game to away, let's say it's Egypt or Morocco. So either way, that game can be postponed only if the transportation or the traveling can affect us coming back within those 7 days that are there on the CAF Champions League week. That's 7 days as a whole.
Let me go Kumo, then Vito. Kumo.
Yeah, man, it's a tricky one because, as what Felile said, like it helps when you are regionally placed in the same groups, because you like your twin years, those countries are neighbors. If you can look, CAF has already a system like that in place in the Champions League, but for the ladies, you have to play regionally, then the best regions play a tournament type of format. It's a great concept, and I'm pretty sure the head honchos at CAF actually thought about instilling the same concept for the men's tournament. But the realities are, we've got so many commitments back home here, and at the same breath, if CAF had to actually interfere a lot, Ahly, I know they're going to be the first to say, screw CAF, we can play the Asian Cup, which is much more lucrative, and which actually...
They already play that King's Cup. Is it called the King's Cup, the one that happens with the Middle Eastern countries?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's whatever.
It's the FIFA Arab Cup.
They can the Arab Cup. They can go there, And what's gonna happen? Imagine the Champions League without Al Ahly. Imagine the Champions League without Sundowns. Because if Sundowns can say, I don't want to play CAF, we can so much just dominate here in the local tournaments. It doesn't take much for like what I mean. So they have to tread the legal. Solutions are there, but as long as we don't align all our calendars, we will never have a sustainable solution to this ongoing problem. Unless maybe we can commission your Jeff Bezos and your Elon Musk to actually create a vortex machine where traveling is like an instant. I don't see anything else besides that.
Okay, let me go to Vito.
I have
Vito,
a question though.
Okay, I just want to go to Vito first. Vito?
Okay, all right. Can I ask the question again?
The question is, what can CAF do to fix some of these things? And I wanted to add on to the question, or are we just being soft, man? Are we just being entitled, South Africans, to want to change systems? So I've got those 2 questions. How can CAF change it? And then secondly, man, are we just being soft, man?
Okay, all right. The only reason why I'm asking is because if let's give me a with that. Rulani is cooking, guys. Rulani is cooking in with that. You're right, they're playing amazing football. 2-2 score now. So to get back to your question, for me, when I look at how Motsepe has positioned CAF, I mean, you all know now, CAF, for the first time in its existence, is literally financially very healthy now. And he only did it in like 5 years. One organization is corrupted, so many scandals. People go there and then they turn CAF into an ANC and all of that. And in 5 years, it's turning around. And when you look at what he has done to do that, he has aligned himself with a Gianni Infantino.
Gianni Infantino, yeah. FIFA president.
Gianni. Yeah, the FIFA president. He has aligned with that guy. And he is also aligned with the people, through the guy, the people who did into the UEFA competition. There's that company, that French company that literally put the UEFA Champions League, all of that. So he took that company, brought it into Africa, and then he told that company to restructure how the entire CAF competitions function. When you look at how they are delivering now, it's 10 times better than what we used to watch. Anga finally Ahly Pirates got to 2012 or 13. Yeah, Champions League. And you look Champions League finally last year. There's a major difference in terms of the quality, everything, man. It's a much better product, right? So where I'm trying to go with this is that there is a vision of Motsepe now. And the vision of Motsepe is to say he's visiting a lot of heads of state. I've seen that in the media. He's going to different countries, especially these lower ones. And try to pump as much money as he can back into the associations so that each country that has potential, so to put it, can have the facilities to have easier access to be able to accommodate people in terms of your infrastructure, in terms of your traveling and all of that, and logistics and everything included. So there's a plan, but now the plan cannot just come to fruition in the space of 12 months or 24 months. It takes time, right? So CAF is doing something and things are moving and things are changing. And the last thing that he said that he wants to pump in so much money into the African football game that our best talent doesn't see the need to go and play their trade in Europe. And already it's happening now. You understand? Like, there's a team, player Portugal, Lego Dortmund, they will Africa. You know, so money is there now. Money is there, not for everyone, but money is there now. In a space of 10 years to come.
I want to ask you about that one. Not for everyone, but is CAF a rich team tournament? Is CAF a big boy tournament where certain teams can fly private, certain teams can charter flights, while the other teams sham to take part? You take a hit. Do we have that here? And is it on purpose before Motsepe?
Other teams have to show up as well, you know. Unfortunately, sponsors don't come on board for someone who's not there for me. Like, the only reason why Nike left Chiefs is because they felt like Chiefs was no longer a winning brand. That's why they left them. Like, brand the bubble because of Nike stands for excellence, Nike stands for winners. And Chiefs was the exact opposite of that in terms of the football play. So that's why Nike left Chiefs, and Chiefs is huge. So it's not a matter of small teams XYZ. No, it's a matter of, are you actually performing? Do you actually have the potential? Are you actually doing something to become like an Ahly, like a Wydad, like, I hate saying this, like a Sundowns, but like, do you have it in you for brands and corporate to look at you and say, you are worth spending our money on? So I think it's an opportunity more than it is a threat or this is a big boys club only. It's an opportunity for the smaller clubs and the big clubs that are sleeping as well to say, okay, more PSL win a league. If you 20 million, win 20 million. And then by a miracle for win all competitions in the league, let's say plus or minus 45 million. Let's say a certain team wins all of them, 45, and the winning into AFL alone is 70 million. So you gotta do your numbers and you gotta check. And winning the CAF Champions League, it's something like 50 million.
Mara Sundowns is spending that on one player. Ahly even worse. Ahly's got a budget that far supersedes Sundowns. Can you really compete even if you put all of your chips together?
They've got sponsors. Sundowns has got 9 sponsors. 9.
But we know where the money came from. But we know where the money
Yeah,
came
but-
from. We know who was
Yeah, but
financing.
Jay-Z is dropping his dollars with there as well, Sundowns. So let's not act like Motsepe again a failure. You know. But what I'm simply trying to say to you is that the mindset of the leadership must change. Everybody must see an opportunity. That's what I'm just trying to say, and not see problems. Because when you see opportunity, you're gonna find solutions.
Let me go to Stereophonic. Stereophonic, you had a question.
Oh yeah. Back to the topic of saying what CAF can do as far as the scheduling issues and so forth. But then I was asking the question of, if you recall, in Europe there's the ECA, the European Clubs Association, and I think we had started something like this in Africa.
Oh, Jessica, Deputy President of the ACA. Yeah.
You see. So now, so far we haven't had any comments from them, and seemingly they are supposed to represent the clubs at large to say, okay, if this is going on, maybe we have to say no. Now we're not satisfied with how this thing is going, and so forth. That was my question, is that if they haven't had any complaints, then clearly like you were saying, that it seems like maybe our league is just becoming soft. But another point I want to make, and what viewers saying, if you look at how Motsepe's time as CAF president, there was a lot of changes as far as regulations, the kind of the stadium requirements, and all of the stuff, which has led to even countries being unable to even play their home games at home because their stadiums are not up to par. And that sort of changed. It sort of worked in the sense that even the moments, barring the Libya-Nigeria situation, it has sort of stopped that thing that any away team going to an African country, the hostile treatment they would get is sort of decreased from back then. You can even hear former players would say that, hey, going to Africa is rough. And I don't think we get those kind of stories now. And I think it's also based on how they've sort of, the regulations and rules they put together, and countries and associations being penalized for any mishaps, because not only that, it affects the image of African football. So yeah, that was the question, and then the comment I was making from the previous subject about Motsepe's reign as CAF president.
I just want to say something. I'm seeing somebody repeating a message there. Go TikTok. OT, that's why Chiefs will remain like that. It's thinking Elena, Sundowns has got sponsors. True, but Sundowns wasn't built off of sponsors. Motsepe put in a ton of money. He says it himself. He spoke about winning the Champions League, and he said his own family has pumped a lot of money in without getting return. The point I was making was that, does it become a situation where Mamelodi Sundowns can afford to get a chartered flight versus a team that comes from a small country, Kenya, let's say a Kenyan Premier League team? Can they afford to then charter the flights? Supersport. We have Supersport right here. Gavin Hunt spoke about it, that, you know, when you play for Chiefs or Sundowns, because they are rich, it becomes an example. It becomes an advantage that I can charter a flight. Supersport has money, let me not say, but they are willing to charter the flights. They're willing to do those things. There are other countries where these players can't. These teams can't do those things. It's tough. And kudos to Tate Motsepe at CAF for giving everybody a travel allowance for the qualifiers, because you were finding African teams who had to get into a minivan, into a combi, and drive 24 hours to go play a game, and then drive 24 hours back without gaining anything from there. And if you're taking those guys and they have to go play an Ahly who's got hundreds of millions of dollars in spend that they can make every year, the budget of Ahly is crazy, and they're comfortable and they're flying in and all of that stuff, that becomes an advantage. This is what I was saying. You see, some people come back, you're not even a combi. But guys, is there a misconception?
OG.
Yes, Vito.
Can I ask?
Yeah.
You keep mentioning Al Ahly's budget. Can you please go deeper on that, like expand more. Like give a budget.
Allegedly,
because I
the-
think here last we spend 60 million for a player.
Allegedly, the budget altogether, it could be altogether with other sports, but Al Ahly has around $88 million per season that they can spend. So they can allocate it as they want to across the team. So last I checked, it was $88 million. So Mamelodi Sundowns currently maybe did 150 million rand, let's say 150, 200 million rand. And that's about a couple of $2 million. So Al Ahly's budget is 20.
Man,
so Al Ahly is about 4 times. It's about 4 times the budget of Mamelodi Sundowns. So that's why I say that when I speak about the big boys, you're competing against the big boys. Right now, the only reasons why Pyramids is climbing up in Egypt is because they're also owned by super rich sponsors who are creating the foundation of that. So that's why I'm like, hey guys, I wanted to ask, are we looking at the wrong places when we speak about this Pirates matter? Because don't all the teams sit together and decide on the schedule? And if the teams are not speaking, are we as fans then maybe misunderstanding why these things are done? Or maybe not holding our teams accountable properly? Anyone can jump in, guys. Vito?
Okay, all right. Now I did not comment on what you just asked me. Like it for other people so they can also speak.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say, Rupert must pull up his socks. If Al Ahly can spend that kind of money, he can double it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it.
No, but okay, but then how do we make it that more teams? Because I think my problem with CAF is that it's supposed to create a situation where everybody can compete. So you might have more of a transfer budget, but you shouldn't be able to have a better travel budget, let's say. You shouldn't be able to win it through those type of things. Maybe transfers and all of that. Mara, if Supersport has to fly 19 hours from here to go to play, I believe it was in Libya. They were using an example of Libya. Or Abu Marumo Kalans have to spend, I believe he said, the owner said it was 14 million on just travel and things like that. Shouldn't CAF be stepping in and saying, okay, let's figure out how to do this? Or maybe the associations. Shouldn't this be travel funded by associations that step in and say, okay, guys, there's 3 teams, max 4 teams that take part in African tournaments. As associations, we've come together, we've put aside this amount of money, and that money is going to go directly to the team so that they can charter flights. Or we find a travel sponsor as a CAF. I think those are the kind of things I'm asking about more than anything, because at the end of the day, if it took Mamelodi Sundowns how many years to become the Mamelodi Sundowns that we know now, and how much investment came directly from Tate Motsepe, and how much money they're throwing, they put down, or Rupert would have to come in to build Stellenbosch into an African team like that. Shouldn't CAF be stepping in and making these things fairer?
They could, they can, but if you look at especially football politics, I mean, it's sort of going towards a capitalist environment, although they're trying to put out some pseudo-socialist kind of setup. I might be confusing myself when I'm saying this, in the sense that, fine, you're trying to put out a product. There is let's say, for instance, the African Cup of Nations or the CAF Champions League. Those are the 2 premier competitions CAF is looking at. It comes back to your point where you said, especially the Champions League, is it becoming a big boy tournament? And the answer to that is slowly becoming yes, because of now who is actually, for the past 5 years, who has been the guys that are normally there. So you're looking at your Al Ahly's, your Wydad Casablancas, the Sundowns, and to an extent there was Petro de Luanda. So the ones with the big budgets are always gonna get there. And I don't think, as much as CAF would want to do that, I don't know if the clubs themselves would want that to happen. But then, and honestly, just for a better for a better
Correct.
image and a better tournament, it would be fair for CAF to, whatever earnings that is made can be at least form part of budgets in terms of like traveling. In terms of traveling, which is, it seems like it has been the Achilles heel for a lot of clubs, smaller clubs, who don't have the budgets for like the Widats and the Ahly's and to an extent Mamelodi Sundowns.
Well, Felile, can I just ask? Maskulmang indaba ze-league. I want to bring it back to the league. Maskulmang indaba ze-league. Do we let our teams off the hook? Because everybody's saying chairman khoza is doing this and chairman khoza is making it easy for Pirates. Mara, and Kona board of governors, Kona all of these things when scheduling and stuff is done. Are we letting them off the hook for our own reasons? Nati, just so good we can point at Pirates, for example.
Personally, I mean, I think we let most of the guys off the hook because, as you have mentioned, and we did even mention earlier on in our conversation previously before season started, there are people who are elected to the board of governors and the executive committee, PSL, and those guys that are there. And surely, if they are there, we expect them to be to make sure they run the PSL and in the interest of each and everyone. For example, remember the board of governors. That's where most of the things are happening, and they are voting there. There are guys from the first division who are part of the board of governors. There are guys from Ulukunjan, from Gugu first division. And we know how supporters, they are so fed up with regards to Ifyama playoffs. And those guys, some of them, when they are there, even some of the chairmen that are PSL, they see that as a loophole lokuthi bangarelegate automatically if team yakhe ibhedile. Because automatically we're supposed to number 17 and 15 and 16, they're supposed to go out automatically. But those guys are refusing that because remember, it's advantage to both. Let's say your teams you pay to a premiership and you are number 15, which means when number 15, you still get a chance to play Guma playoffs and it. And there are chances you can come back. It's advantageous to you. So you won't vote against playoffs, most of the chairmen there. And then comes to the chairmen Abagu National First Division. If you don't win in the First Division outright, you still have a chance. You're number 2. And it is it number 2?
Number 2 and 3, yeah.
Number 2 and 3. So Magu number 2, you still put the chance to go and play Guma playoffs. And then when now number 3 to number 4, if kuna yazi futhi ngalehlanga namakhwirikhwirinyana amaningi ama-points deduction nani into eziningi ezizakaleni, you've got chances ukuthi nawe ungangena by backdoor nyani ukuthi ungaqualify ungathola udlala kuma-playoffs. So it really doesn't help because at sometimes mina personal people they will say sometimes ukuthi no, you defend the Pirate and sometimes you defend ukhoza. There are also certain things that are happening against the Pirate, of which Pirates has been disadvantaged in that was they cannot complain. There are sometimes they let some of these things slide because they cannot do that because they are Pirates and the team chairman. He cannot always challenge in every decision. Sometimes they are against his team because he's the chairman of the PSL. And also, PSL is their business, these guys. These guys, this is their business. And so that's why I was complaining. Some of the chairmen, when they do certain things and when they speak, they forget who they're speaking on behalf of their business. Because that business is theirs. But if they don't take responsibilities and protect it and always come up with ideas that they're going to take this brand, PSL moving forward. So we always be backwards because most of the things are going to be chairman. Look at the issue of Betway Premiership like now. When they've announced Betway as the sponsor, do you hear what the chairman says? They have been speaking to these guys for 3 years, telling them, I cannot yes, you see, I cannot sponsor because why? There was still that law that prevented gambling companies to be involved with PSL. Of some people, they didn't even know that, but they're just complaining if other teams will refuse to have the sponsor of the gambling companies. So not everyone is on the ball. Some people they just get there, but asiyiboni vele unless mhlambe kuthiwa siyabona ama-meeting and then they come up with those ideas to prevent certain things, but akwenzakali. But mina as much as singayihlaba kakhulu on i-PSL, but you know sometimes if sibuye futhi sise ku-politics iba nzima kakhulu because lapho singahlala kwesinabe ukuthi up until today, I still fail to understand how can a premier of the province ahlule a team and come and complain about logistics. And it's I guess but this is our business. And sometimes we have to think broad. When they talk about African integration, they don't talk about the immigration. When they talk about the African integration, we talk about all the movement of goods and the transportation system that need to be improved on the African continent so that it can be easier for movement like Europe. Umuntu asuke Spain, aye France, train to play. Ubuye after 2 hours so say England, Manchester, we are back. We were playing yesterday. We were playing UEFA Champions League. After 3 hours, we are back in England. Long-term plans, of which is trying about Motsepe to do this. It was he has done that with CAF, pumping more money, try to make sure teams have got more money so that they could participate on this CAF tournament. But if the states and everyone doesn't come into a party, then we will fail as the black continent, especially as the black business. As a soccer is a black man's business in South Africa, whether we like it or not.
I want to let someone close. Kumo, can you close it for me?
Aw sentsel kwala.
Aw ufihlile kanina komo le mekutse.
Kanto, why always this guy likes to take my funda away? Yo,
sorry. Ngibuya kuphi mara mina ngifuna ekhowa just linye point la ka Mr. Veril. Angazi ukuthi benikhuluma ngani. Mara khona le point lele ukuthi Mugi Pirates izinto, we let them slide. We were told Tito could not win playoff the season because of our winning league. But the certain somebody is Africa's best. Who win in Africa? The very same people but who league. Who win a EP title in Africa? Who can EP final in Africa? I think.
EFL. Hey, you can go Hulwana, but Kuba equal for time.
How much time do I have?
You've got 2 minutes.
Guys, I was starting to actually sympathize with Velil until he's Togolo, she literally Roma. Like guys, Africa's best, we're not gonna debate this thing every time. Tito was the best Kosovo twin. Ronwen was the best come to Africa and he had a global recognition. So guys, I don't think this guy is flowers and stop comparing him to Kaizer Chiefs. I mean, like number 2, Sundowns, which is Onyango, was even starting, but the so-called number 1, and this number 1 favorite, which Chiefs, it doesn't even play. Can I get man the new goalkeeper if and Damane out of Musliming and Gamodjalisa? That's all I'm saying. But it was Mr. This topic, it's nice. Marabut Velile, I like the point that you made, Hore. The CAF should actually module around the European system. It's impossible because Europe is simple. Like Rena Herrera Joburg to Pretoria, there's literally Portugal to Spain, and their transport system. It's so integrated. You can literally take a ferry off to France, or even take a train through Spain, France, and London. So that's how easy it becomes for them. Rena, we need to find other ways. Thank you.
Can I just jump in then? To close off the show, guys, what you were listening to there for the last hour has been the members show. So the members, it's audio that's coming from the WhatsApp group. If you want to join the WhatsApp group, head on over to YouTube, click on subscribe, click on join. There's a join button. In the members area, there's a link that gets you into the WhatsApp group. These are chats that we have 24/7, deeper.
Mr. Oti, ngicela ukubuza mina.
Hayi man, malume khulu.
No, just ukugcina. If iPirates yenzelwa ama favor for reschedule and iSundowns being a reschedule, why Sundowns behlala nama game in hand? If yona bebanga reschedule ihambi
Okay.
uyaphuma up nama game in hand. No, we must ask ukuthi before this combo, why une game in hand?
Mara kena early next time malume kutso ba kya kwala. So if you want to join the WhatsApp group, you see our malume kutso is the 24/7. We go off there. So I was saying that this is the perk of being a member is on Thursdays. They pick the topic, we vote on topics. So everybody suggests topics, we vote on which one we want to speak about. Then we come in and speak about it, and you guys get to listen in on some of the conversations we have. Please support. The only thing I'm going to say is I think sometimes we look at the wrong people and we complain about Pirates. So if we complain about Pirates and people feel as though the complaints about Pirates are valid, are you looking at Ntate Khoza? Or are you looking at the committee that has to decide all of these things? And if we're letting those guys off of the hook, is your club really representing you there? Because then why didn't they vote for a certain thing? You know, there was the thing that happened last year with Mamelodi Sundowns, allegedly, after Bafana and TS Galaxy. Apparently, TS Galaxy says they were open to move the dates and the conversation wasn't said. So now, are we now fighting over something that was discussed separately with different people, the parties involved, and now as fans we're fighting? So sometimes we need to look at the strings and follow them up to the people who make these decisions. Because if we're complaining about scheduling, this scheduling was a long time discussed. If you look at the fixture list of EPSL, you'll see that there's dates where they say that these are dates that are set aside because of a CAF thing. So if there's a CAF thing, there's an alternate date that's going to be here. All these things are decided beforehand. So if Sundowns really does have an issue, why weren't those things spoken about before, for example? So we also need to figure out where we're looking when we bring things. And I feel like there's a lot that on purpose sometimes doesn't get told to us so that we can come out and fight each other and whatever. Meanwhile, Lavantes Palerayo have long decided what they wanted to do. But guys, that was the Thursday show. I'll see you on Saturday for the Culling game, the Culling All-Stars game, the Culling Black Label All-Stars game between Makesi and the All-Star team, coached by Ukosh Rivero, after stepping in for Ukosh Mangoba. So I'm going to be here for that game. We'll watch it live together. So please feel free to come and join me. Also, follow the content. I have a podcast that I drop. I try to drop every 3 days where I speak about a lot of things and my opinions of things. So please support us content creators as well as on the TikTok and on YouTube, on the Facebook. Please support in all those places. If you can like, if you can share, if you can comment, if you can watch the whole thing, please do so. If you can contribute via the account number that I have in my bios, you can contribute via that and send some money through. It really does help keep all of these things up because there's not many platforms where we get to speak as fans with each other. I'm not a former player. I'm not a former coach. I'm not an administrator. I'm not from Supersport. You guys get to come in and we get to speak to each other without having the restrictions of some of the things we can't speak about. But you have to help us keep it sustainable. So help me keep it sustainable by donating, by supporting, by doing as much as possible. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you then on Saturday. Mr. XO4, no, he withdrew. Mangoba withdrew. So it's Coach Rivero who's taking over that side. So guys, I'll see you. Bye, everyone.